Hi, Andrew again. Just here to talk to you about films again this week. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been thinking a lot about justice. I don't know about you, but I've been thinking about the importance that God puts on justice in His Bible, and how God puts wrongs right. I think we can use films to see a really helpful answer into where God's justice is, because as we've seen from previous weeks, films show us a reflection of the truths that are blueprinted into our souls. So we tell stories which are reflections of what we long to be true. And the Bible tells us that those things that we really truly long for, like justice, like truth, like a world without death, a world without violence and unfairness, all of those things are true. All of those things are coming. But the Bible tells us that that world isn't here yet. So we tell stories to show how much we long for those. And it reminded me of a genre of film. So I thought we'd do this week on a film which really highlights justice as one of its key themes. So we're going to look at some westerns today. Now, you might think westerns are all like old 70s films with like wah, 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 that kind of thing. But actually, westerns come all the way through filmmaking. So we've got westerns, yes, back in the 70s with Clint Eastwood. Wish I could be him. He was so cool, man. And then we've got westerns coming up through until now. So we've got amazing westerns that you should definitely watch, like 3:10 to Yuma, which is brilliant. Christian Bale, Russell Crowe, just an amazing film. You've really got to watch it. It's so good. A lot of the components of Western films are imitated in other films as well, other genres of films. So they've been taken across the board. So the pistols at dawn moment, where the fingers are like that over their pockets, ready to shoot the other person's head off. That's imitated in all sorts of different films. So we've got films like The Matrix, where the agent stands and you get the shot just behind his ankles. That's a really good Western shot. Star Wars is basically a Western set in space. There, I said it. Because you get loads of these shots of the Jedis with their lightsabers down by their waists, ready to have a duel with whoever they're fighting against. And all you need to do to change this into a Western shot is just change the lightsaber for a gun, and then you're done. They've taken that straight from Westerns, and that's because they're trying to remind you that this is about justice. This is about good triumphing over evil. But it's more than that. Justice isn't just about good triumphing over evil and then evil going and living out the rest of his days somewhere else. Justice is about seeing that the evil that is done by the evil party is punished, is done away with, and is paid for. If it's not paid for, then justice hasn't been done. So what we see in Westerns is that we see the bad guys get punished. Often in Westerns, the bad guy pays for his crimes by being shot in the head in a duel, might be put in prison and pays that way. He might have to repay the stuff that he's stolen. It might be ridicule, like in Back to the Future, and Buford Tannen falls straight in a thing of manure and gets ridiculed by everyone, and then gets put in prison. But justice has to be paid, right? And that is something that Western films are so strong on, because if a Western film doesn't finish off in justice, then what's the point? Like, you have to see that justice is done by the end of a Western for us to feel happy. Okay, so why is that? Why do we long for that justice? And it's because of this. It's because in the Bible we see that we have done wrong against God. We're told that that's called sin, and that sin needs paying for. Justice needs to be done. Now you might hear lots of different things here, and different faiths and stuff saying that God is loving and he will have you back with open arms, and you can have a relationship with God. That's brilliant. But if your sin goes unpunished, then justice has not been done and God is not just. And that's why when we watch westerns, we're desperate to see the bad guy get punished and to see him pay for his crimes, because we know that that is the pattern. That's what needs to happen. But in the Bible, God doesn't just sweep them under the rug and ignore them. He pays for them himself. He pays for them with the death of his own son on the cross. And at that point on the cross, that is where Jesus pays for your sins, sees that justice is done. He says on the cross, it is finished. That means it's done, it's paid. Okay? That your sin is wiped out. And that's why when we're watching westerns, we can rejoice when we see that justice is done, because we know that is a pale reflection of the justice that is done on the cross through Jesus. Thanks for watching my whistle-stop tour of westerns and what the Bible has to say about them. Hopefully we'll come back next week and we'll do maybe another genre next week, and we'll find out what that is in a bit. So have a nice week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.